We're looking for a camp now. It's 3:15. Time to find camp and settle in for the night. It has been such a windy trip. It's been great though. I've never experienced a desert before. It's certainly a place that I will revisit. 3 years till retirement. Each year I've got one big trip. So this is the big trip this year. Next year will probably be the Canning, and the year after that it'll be the bottom half of Western Australia with the wildflowers, and probably the Holland track. Good morning. Just woken and taken a few pictures around the traps, had some breakfast, and I've come across, looks a bit like a lair. It's a huge amount of, well, a round circle of spinifex, and in the centre of it, it's all flattened out completely, like something lays in there night after night. We're about probably 40 metres off the road where I'm standing, and I'm not sure what lies in there, but it looks big enough to be a dingo or something of that size, that sort of mid-level size. There's a lot of spinifex around here, a lot of big mounds, but this is the only one that I've found where something has been laying in the middle of it, to the point where it's flattened out the middle of it completely. Anyway, I'm going to pump my airbags up again. They are leaking. The issues I'm having with the airbag is I'm losing pressure. Up until yesterday I was losing a lot of pressure. They're pretty much bump stops. Have changed both the valves. That has helped. Down 8 pound both of them last night, or over the last 24 hours. That's not so unsatisfactory. It was a better drive yesterday with the new valves in. I did notice that, so I figured it did help a bit. Hasn't helped completely, but good enough for me to be confident they'll work for a while. Looks like a mum and a couple of pups. We've got dingo just at the top of this dune in front of us, and we're going to try and get as close as I can, and we'll film the dingo as we get closer. We'll get out and try and get a bit. They're not far away. There's a little family of 3. It's very cool to see. We've been seeing fresh dingo tracks all the way through. They're basically just sitting around on the track just up in front of us here. We did manage to spend a bit of time with the dingoes. Family, they weren't as flighty as I thought they'd be, but they wouldn't let more than probably 50 metres come between us. Oh, camels! Well, we just saw camels. Pretty awesome to see within the space of an hour. We've seen a family of dingo and a family of camels. There were probably 4 or 5 camels in that lot. We're just on the last part of the rig road before we turn left up on the French line, head toward Dalhousie. The corrugations along here, they're not bad, as in really deep, but they've been consistent. It's very flat. We're running between dunes here. We've managed to do about between 40 and 50k along this area on fairly soft tyres and make up a bit of ground. They're funny corrugations. You go too slow and you can feel every one. I think it's because you dip into each valley of the corrugation, you get the right speed, and for us along there was between 40 and 45 kilometres an hour, and you hardly feel them. You know they're there, but you can hardly feel them. So the tyre pressures I'm running, it's a D-Max, obviously. We've got 265 75 16s on steel rims. The tyres are a Goodyear Duratrex, so Goodyear Wrangler Duratrex. I've done about 50,000, so they're probably a third worn. There's quite a bit of tread left on them. And the pressures that I'm running, 19 at the front and 26 at the back, and that's because I'm 3.5 tonne almost, and the back it bags out at 26. I can go a bit lower and to get back up Big Red when we get over that side. I may have to go a bit lower. We got a monitor run across in front of this, and it took shelter under a tree. Its hole was right next to the tree, and it was using the tree as shelter to get to its hole. But I beat it to where its hole was. I was standing where the hole was, where he wanted to go. It wasn't until I moved around the other side of the tree that he took that opportunity to run up to the hole. I've actually got him in the hole looking at me. Would have been probably the best part of 1.5 foot long, probably around 40 centimetres, I guess. So we're westbound on the French line, heading toward Dalhousie. We're about 85 kilometres away from Dalhousie. There's been bugger all traffic travelling from Mount Dare to Birdsville. In the 5 days we've been on the track, there's only been 3 cars in one group, so one group of vehicles that have passed us going from the west toward the east. Apart from that, there's been no traffic at all, which really surprises me. I thought the desert was closed for so long through the wet period. Firstly, it was closed for the couple of months in the summer. Then it was so wet that they didn't open it. They kept it closed, and it's only just recently been opened. I thought there would have been a queue of cars ready to cross the desert. We've seen the star pickets all the way through the desert on the side of the track, and we've wondered what they were. We thought they were survey markers, but we weren't 100% sure. That one actually had the survey marker plaque on it, and the plaque said Survey Marker, Department of Lands. So I think what they do with that is they come out several times a year, take photographs of the terrain around that marker, and they monitor the growth in that area. At the end of the day, we couldn't live in a world without rules. But I don't know if this is a G-up or what, but we're in the middle of Australia, in the middle of a desert. We haven't seen any traffic at all today, none. Not a single vehicle passed us in either direction. Could say we're in the middle of nowhere, hundreds of kilometres from anything. And on our track, there's a 40 sign. A 40 sign. Is it a G-up? I don't know. I haven't been able to do 40 the whole way across the desert. Family of zebra finches. So that's new on the list of things we've seen. Well, zebs. There are probably 6 of them there. This is Pruny Ball. So there's a very large water tank there. And there's plumbing that goes into the tank, so I'm guessing that shed there is some sort of pump down to the basin. Pumps water into the tank, which feeds the toilet here. Then you've got campgrounds both sides of the track at Pruny Ball. A big day area here, so it must be a popular place. Absolute host of bird life here. Lots of different finches. I can't see them, they're too far away, but there's the zeb finches and there's little ground doves. They're like half the size of a normal dove, but they look like a dove. Guessing they'd have little functions. You're only about 60k from Dalhousie Springs here, So quite an easy trek out here. If you wanted to have a day out in the desert. So still heading to Dalhousie, probably about, I don't know, 45k away now, and there's an airstrip. I didn't realise there was an airstrip out here. It's very well maintained, and it certainly looks big enough for a light aircraft, any helicopters. But it's good to know. Like, I really had no idea there was an airstrip out here. So if you did get into trouble and you were closer to the airstrip than any town, I guess that's where you'd head. Well, the landscape and the track's definitely changed. The track is a lot harder track and a lot more rocky. We really should stop and pump our tyres up, particularly the back tyres. They're down to 26, they probably need to be around 36, just to take the bag out of them so that the sidewalls aren't exposed to the sharp rock. But I'm driving a bit slower and taking care and making sure I look at what I'm driving over. We haven't got far to go to camp, so when we get to camp I will pump them up. So tomorrow when we drive on this, the back tyres will definitely be a little higher than what they are now, and a lot less prone to puncture. I'm just going over a big clay pan. There's about 3 different tracks, and I can see water in the middle, but I'm not sure which track bypasses the water. So what I might do is drive wide on this one and come back if it doesn't work. We're just out of the desert, and this would have to be one of the biggest flats area, and it's all clay. We've just travelled probably the best part of 3 or 4 kilometres across the flats, and right across is soggy and damp. Definitely took the wrong option. Could be a lot of problem and strife here, I think. We may have to turn around and go back. Oh no, the truck comes out here. Whew. Hopefully, about 12 kilometres out of Dalhousie. We're going to make Dalhousie tonight. We just passed a little rocky crop with a natural spring in it. I knew Dalhousie Springs were spring water fed from the aqueduct underneath, but I didn't realise there was sort of a whole string of them, and they followed this sort of plane all the way down, I think. I think that was pretty interesting, seeing a little spring-fed area, and I wonder there's a lot of birds around this area. But we should make Dalhousie now. The road, I guess the last 20 kilometres of road into Dalhousie is a fairly good road, and you can drive between 40 and 60 kilometres an hour, most of it. Driving a bit slow now only because I want to talk to you guys, and yeah, it's a nice easy trip. So we'll get to Dalhousie tonight. We'll have a bit of tidy up, check the car over, clean the clothes. Dalhousie Springs in just a few minutes time. Dalhousie, I think, is about 4 or 5 kilometres further up the road. And there's a sign as we passed it. It was a sign for a dumping point. And this is it. It looks like all the rubbish goes in there, and they just set a match to it every now and then.
Just like fire, no denying. I know we won't be late.
thought we'd take a few moments to talk about some of the things we like, some of the things we don't like. We left on the 30th of April and we're back in Brisbane on the 22nd of May. So that's the time of year here, and the daytime temperatures are probably between 22 and 26, and the nighttime temperatures are definitely down into 8s and 9s. So from where we are to here, it's quite cold. The actual travel's been fairly easy.
And the dunes aren't as much today. The first few days they were really big up and down ones, but today it's just been more gullies and hills.
Yeah, before we got to Rig Road, the dunes were really substantial and the flats had been really wet. That part of the Simpson had a lot of rain, and we had to make some tracks around some of the bog holes. The car's performance has been pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. The D-Max is going well. The rear is squeaking at the moment because the airbags have let us down. We thought it was just valves, but I think it's actually the air lines somewhere are leaking, or a slow leak. We're pumping them up to between 25 and 28 every day. They can go up as high as 50, but don't need to go as high as 50. 28 brings it up to level and should be doing the job, but they're really struggling at the moment. We're finding they're down around 15 when we fill them the following morning. So they've let us down. Apart from that, it's going very well. Toileting. Have you found toileting?
I have found it quite satisfactory.
We've got two toilets. We've got the portaloo that lives inside the
Cabin.
the
area.
canopy, and we use that during the night. The main toilet that we use all day, most days, and for any toileting where we have to do number twosie, it's one that there's a company in Western Australia that they sell a three-legged toilet that folds out, so it's just a rectangle. I'll show it in a minute. Well, I'll cut it in right now into this edit. So it's a rectangle box, 3 legs that fold out. When you fold them out, you've got basically a small toilet. Now you can line it with a plastic bag. We've bought biodegradable bags, or bags that you're allowed to bury, and they break up just like they would if it was normal natural waste or paper. So we're burying the biodegradable bags with the waste in it, and we're finding it very easy to do that. The toileting is quite simple. Not a great subject to talk about, but hey, everyone's got to go.
That's right. And as long as you got your spade, you're fine.
Yep. Water usage. We brought away with us 2 cases of 24, the 600ml plastic bottles. We've still got a full case left, and we've been gone now full 7 days. We have been refilling some of those bottles out of our water tanks. We've got 2 water tanks, one for showering. There's 75 litres that's pumped, pressurised, and there's 75 litres gravity feed. The pressurised side with the showers, we've had a couple of showers each. There's probably still a good 55 litres in that. The side that we're using, that's gravity fed, that we use for tea and coffee and all things around the kitchen, that's probably down to about 40 litres left. So if we can, we'll fill up. If not, we'll make do, and we'll pump. If we need to, we can pump water from our shower into the gravity feed, because both are filled through a filter. So they're both filtered water, so we can drink out of either. Night times are a little different. We're going to bed probably between 9 and 10 o'clock at night, and it's very quiet out here. It's just deadly quiet at night. We've seen one group of camels from a huge distance.
Yeah.
Huge distance. And we'd really like, I've seen so many videos, YouTube videos, where they're driving down, there's a camel wandering along the track in front of them. Well, we've seen plenty of camel tracks on the track that we're taking, but we haven't actually seen the camels that close up yet.
And a couple of emus, we just saw them fleetingly disappearing.
Yeah, that was right back though,
at
the
the
birds
beginning,
flying.
yeah. But just mainly birds, lots of birds, budgies and
Heaps
wrens.
of budgies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the trip to date. The missus has been down for a swim. I've had a nice cold shower. So tomorrow we're going to sort out the car, get it ready for the next part of the trip. But for now, it's time to cook, settle in, and I'll see you in the morning.